First off, the ocean is fucking terrifying. The ocean makes up 71% of the Earth's surface, but yet 95% of it hasn't even been explored yet. So you can imagine the creatures that live under there. I know you've seen the anglerfish before, but I'm here to talk about some of God's most bizarre creations that live under the sea. The bobber worm has a very interesting look to it. Its unique hunting strategy, and mixed that with its alien-like appearance, makes it stand out in the animal kingdom like a sore thumb. The bobber worm's jaws are made of a protein called scleratin, which gives them the durability and sharpness for slicing through their prey. The speed and force of the attack is so intense that they can split their prey in half, just like that scene in Regular Show. Despite having no eyes, the bobber worm burrows in the sand and uses its antennas to detect small vibrations and chemical changes in the water, signaling nearby prey. By hunting at night, the bobber worms benefit off lower visibility, reducing the chances of the dinner noticing them before it's too late. The tongue-eating louse. This thing is something that just shouldn't exist, but scientifically known as Cymothoa extigua. This is a parasitic isopod that's found in the warm waters of the Pacific Ocean. Usually off the coast of California, they live in the mouths of certain types of fish. The louse goes into the fish gills and attaches to their tongue, feeding off their blood and mucus over time until the tongue disintegrates. Then they become the new tongue. I honestly don't even see any real purpose for this animal besides being a nuisance to other fish. The deep story of jellyfish can truly reflect how straight up wild the ocean can be by looks alone. Found in the cold dark depths of the mesopelagic and the bathopelagic zones, deep storia can survive in extreme conditions where most organisms cannot. The isolation also makes them exclusive and rarely observed in their natural habitat. Unlike a regular jellyfish with trailing tentacles, deep storia's expansive body that looks like a divine bedsheet behaves almost like a trap or a net. By flexing and extending their bell, they can catch their prey in a cool but unusual feeding process. This one may be small, but the mantis shrimp is a complete badass that lives under the seabeds. The name comes from them kind of looking like a praying mantis. They live underwater from 30 to 100 feet deep, but the color is the first thing that you'll notice. And if these things weren't cool enough, they're an aggressive species with super strength and have two pairs of different claws. One is used to impale their prey, and the other ones are used for smashing their prey like a hammer in a very quick motion with the fastest moving attack ever recorded in the animal kingdom. Let me give you an example. How easily you can eat a carrot is how easily they can crush and kill their prey with no problem. They can also see much more color than humans. Humans have 3 color receptors, meanwhile the mantis shrimp has 12 of them, allowing them to see colors that we can't even comprehend. Oh yeah, and it's not actually a shrimp. They belong to a group of crustaceans. They say that monsters don't exist, but that's because they've never seen this fucking thing. With a long evolutionary history and many rows of teeth, this animal has no jaw, and instead of a jaws, lampreys have a round-toothed funnel-like mouth used to attaching the host, which is usually a fish. This animal in general is parasitic, and they use their suction cup-like mouth to bite through a host's skin and feed on their blood and bodily fluids. Lampreys start feeding on larvae that bury deep in the ocean in either freshwater areas like rivers or streams, or saltwater areas like the ocean. Then they'll slowly grow up into the blood-sucking creatures that make even the most experienced divers shit their diving gear. This animal is also known as a living fossil because of the ancient background going back to millions of years ago. Along with the more primitive-like features, with a body that has a long tail that you could say looks like an eel, their body type allows them to not only lunge at prey, but to swallow them whole. Pause. Their teeth are so sharp that even their teeth have teeth, which are used to politely tear you to shreds. When it comes to dinner, squid along with any random fish that's unlucky enough to end up on the menu suffices enough. You can find them in the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Ocean, but finding the frilled shark is very rare because they live so deep underwater, living as deep as 1,300 to 4,200 feet under the water. A giant isopod comes in 20 different species and looks more prehistoric than the frilled shark ever could. They grow to sizes of around 16 inches, which is great for my nightmares. It has an armor-like shell, or aka an exoskeleton, covering the back of it, along with its 14 legs. This alien-like creature resides in the deep cold oceans of the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian areas that go as deep as 7,000 feet. Since they live so deep, there's not much food down there, so they gotta go quite the while without eating, thus making their metabolism as slow as a Florida driver. Imagine the lamprey from earlier, but instead, it somehow got into Mr. Burns' power plant, and now looks like this. The cookie cutter shark is measured at around 16 to 22 inches, and lives up to 3,000 feet below. The reason why it's called that is because of the way it attacks its prey. It will bite into you, then rotate its body, leaving you with a circular mark that you could say resembles a cookie cutter. And surprisingly, this thing is not too much of a threat to humans, but it does go after a variety of creatures, but other fish are for sure on the menu. I like to call this one the crab from hell. I'm already not the biggest fan of spiders, but this is my dislike for spiders manifested into a crab. With super long spider-like legs, the spider crab lives in a habitat that's around 160 to 200 feet in deep. And this is a slow-moving species, so they gotta do whatever they can to cover themselves up to avoid possible predators that might be on the lookout. And the spider crab's menu basically consists of algae or dead animals. And this thing is fucking huge, by the way, growing up to 12 feet tall. Meanwhile, most of us grow up to be like 5 foot something. And some freaky deek thought it was a good idea to cook and eat this thing. And others also followed suit, because the spider crab is a delicacy enjoyed amongst other freaks. This behemoth is the biggest invertebrate on the planet Earth, measuring at around 59 feet tall, and live as deep as 3,000 feet below surface. By the looks of this thing, it's a predator, feeding on fish and even other squid. They got hooks on their tentacles that allow them to grab their prey. So bro's out here eating calamari just like us, which is very scary. They live so deep that they're rarely ever seen alive, and most of the research is done on dead ones that were already caught in fish nets. A giant squid's main predator and arch nemesis is the sperm whale, and they will try to eat the squid, leaving you with the coolest battle that could happen in an ocean. If you enjoyed the video, you better make like a mantis shrimp and smash that subscribe button. If you didn't like the video, I kinda don't blame you.